Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order of Point Edward Village Council. It's Tuesday, July the 22nd, 2025, and it's 5 o'clock. First of all, read the land. I'm going to echo. Okay. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect of the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Is there anyone with pecuniary interest?
No.
Okay, as always, if it comes up later, speak up. And we have a delegation, sorry, tonight. Our auditors are here from MNP. Sorry, I'm sorry. I even had it written down. My apologies, we changed the agenda. So the first presentation is Integrated Chemical Mixtures Project of CMPs. And I will ask you to, acknowledge and what.
So I think I'll introduce,
Yeah.
we have Genevieve Tardif with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, the federal ministry. And she's going to give us a little bit of presentation tonight about some sampling that the ministry would like to do at our sewage treatment facility. So if I may, I'll turn the meeting over to you, Genevieve.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes. Very well. Yeah.
All right. And I have a PowerPoint presentation. So
you can either share.
I'm not familiar with. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just not super familiar with Teams meeting, but I'll try to figure it out.
I can bring the presentation up and show it here, Genevieve, and then I'll just follow your cues to move from one slide to the next.
Okay, perfect. Okay, maybe that's easier. Thank you very much. So yes, my name is Geneviève Tardy. I'm a unit head for the research and monitoring programs under the Chemicals Management Plan Research and Monitoring section at the Environment and Climate Change Canada. I'm here for my manager, who is on vacation right now. Her name is Marie-Claude Sauvé. We can move to the next slide. So if you should see a picture of the iceberg and chemicals mixture. So I guess our story is that Environment and Climate Change Canada obviously has a mandate to protect the environment, and one of the things we want to protect the environment from is chemicals. And the way we've typically done that is we have this list of substances that are used in commerce in Canada, and we try to determine if they present a risk to the environment. And so we assess them, and if we find that they do present a risk, then we figure out how to manage that risk. And as new substances are suggested to be imported into Canada, we also ask the industry to do the same type of activities. But we've never looked at what happens with the chemicals that are used and that end up in the environment and that may mix or that may transform. It's something that I guess we had enough work. We were not there yet, but now we're ready for the next big challenge, and it's to look at what happens to those chemicals that are used and end up in the environment and may mix and may transform. Those we had no approach to regulate them. So with CEPA Bill S5, which was strengthening the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, we got funding to look at this new research challenge of what happens with chemicals mixtures when they're in the environment. So we want to better understand them so that we know if they present a risk and then what to do about it. So the next slide. So first we needed to test our approach. So we selected two regions. So one of them is Brantford and the Grand River, and the other one is the Sarnia area and the St. Clair River. So again, we want to look at the mixtures that end up in the environment, not just like water, but also on the soil, what's in the air. And we want to identify what's the source of, well, first, do they present an effect? Do they have effects on the ecosystem and the environment? And then what's the source of the effect? Perhaps it's emissions, but perhaps it's through the combination with other elements. So that's what we're doing. And if our approach works well and we find that it's worth repeating, well, obviously we want to repeat it elsewhere in the country. So if you move to the next slide, just here we're saying that we're a big team of people. Our little section that I'm representing, we're coordinating the work of researchers that are experts in air, researchers experts in water, in soil, and wildlife, but we're also working with people that know about regulation. They're used to evaluate substances or in the management of substances. We work with we want to work with local communities, with other levels of government, with Health Canada, with academia, with industries. So we're trying to do something new and something more collaborative, because we think it's a big challenge, and we want to hear what people have to say about what we want to accomplish. So on the next slide, it's just to say a bit more about the new research challenges that we want to undertake, because this is mainly a research project. It's about developing new approaches. We're talking about two definitions on that slide. Effect-based methods or effect-directed analysis. It's perhaps one stream of research studies that we're doing is that. Sorry, I'm not a researcher, so perhaps I'll move right away to the next definition, and then I'll go back to the first one. So the composition analysis for potentially unknown chemicals, non-targeted analysis. Here, essentially, what we're saying is that as we take samples from the environment, instead of doing a targeted analysis, like tell me the amount of selenium, I don't know, I picked this substance. We're not picking anything. We're just asking for a scan. Obviously, we need to guide the instrument towards something, but we're asking non-specific analysis, and so that from the instrument it can identify and guide us toward what could be in that substance, and then we can do further analysis. And we're thinking, well, find new substances this way. And then effect-directed analysis, well, I guess perhaps the way I can explain it, at least to myself, is it's that instead of testing for the effects of a particular sample substance that we may have targeted on life, on biota, or like algae or invertebrates, or you name it. It's non-targeted. We're going with samples from the environment, and we may not know the entirety of the composition of this sample, but we know it's a real world sample. So it's exploratory, I have to admit, but it's real world, and it's needed because we have a lot of information that we don't know about this aspect of chemicals when they end up in the environment. Next slide. Sorry, I missed the introduction. How long do I have for this presentation?
Normally about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So I'll try to wrap it up. So our approach, very quickly, we want to identify mixtures to look for. We want to engage with local communities. We want to work on our project, develop methodologies, and then identify if there is a problem, and then what to do about it, and then we'll report back to the government and to the population on what we found. The next slide, I'm at slide 7, expected outcomes. I don't think it says really much more that what I already sort of described about the research we're trying to do. And then the next slide, after slide 8, why we are here. Well, why I'm here today. Well, it's to hear your comments. I know I didn't go very much into the wastewater aspect. Obviously, wastewater effluent is one of the it's kind of a key element of our project because well, it's not the source is the population, but a lot of things go through the wastewater, so there's a lot of information to be found in there. But we're also sampling surface water, as I said. We are sampling the air, we're sampling soil, we're sampling bird eggs. So yeah, we want to hear if you have any questions or concerns or ideas that you'd like to share with us. This is certainly helping making our project better. So yeah, we welcome comments.
Thank you for the presentation. It sounds like an interesting project. I had a question, and then I'll turn it over to council for questions as well. Are you involved at all with our Lambton water plant?
With the what water plant?
Comes in from the Lambton area water supply. The river
water?
plant? That's
No,
where the
not
water comes in from the river and then comes out to our community.
Yeah, no, this is not, because yeah, our project is not necessarily about human health. So it's mostly about the impact on the environment of chemicals. But yeah, we do collaborate with, so like drinking water would be more Health Canada.
Okay.
We do work with Health Canada on an air project, but not on a water project.
So what other facilities in our area, like obviously you're in Point Edward, are there other facilities in Sarnia, for example, like water treatment plants that you're?
Yeah, we are going to have samples from the Sarnia wastewater treatment plant, and we're working with bases to yeah. So I'm not sure it's gonna happen, but we'd like to obtain samples from industrial effluent, but and they seem interested, but we need to write and understand, like a data sharing agreement or something like that before it becomes a reality.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Councilor Monday?
Through the mayor, what's the length of time you expect you to be doing the testing here at our facility?
I could confirm with the lead on the wastewater sampling and testing, but our project was first funded in 2023, late in 2023, I should say, and then it's right now it's set to end in 2027, so March 2027. So like the plan would be that by the end of 2026, all sampling is done and data is collected and it's analyzed, and we're only like we've started interpreting the results. So yeah, and we apologize that we didn't reach out to Point Edward Council earlier. We didn't realize how the wastewater shed were interconnected with the Sarnia area. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your presentation, and I know you'll reach out to our staff if you have questions or at any time you need anything from us.
oh yeah.
Okay,
Well, thank you for inviting us. It's always great to have this sort of opportunity.
thank you.
Thank you.
You can, oh, she did. Good.
You're allowed to
Yeah.
disconnect. Okay, so we're going to move on now, and we'll have a presentation from our M&P auditor. Our 2024 financial statements. And can I have
Naila Sackett.
Naila, and can I have someone invite Naila inside the bar?
Move.
Seconded, thank you. To come up to here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. As Jim mentioned, and the mayor, my name is Naila. I was the manager on the audit this year for the 2024 year end. I'm actually Jim, if you have the audit findings, the other letter, I'll start with that one.
Can hardly read that. No. Adjusting journal summary. I'll have to bring that up from the email. Second. Draft management letter, adjusting journal entries, summary of unadjusted differences, draft TB. No, I don't have it
No,
unless it came in a previous email. Let me keep
I think it
looking.
might have come after. It come from Ashley.
Oh, okay. I'm looking from you.
I was like, that might be why. They come from Ashley, our partner. But
Oh, yeah, love it when it works.
yes, exactly right. Perfect, thanks, Jim.
Yep.
So first off, I wanted to say thank you to Jim and Jane for a really successful audit. It went very, very smoothly this year. So again, another good year for the audit. So this is just our summary and our required communications to council, summary of the findings and the results of our audit. And that they were performed in accordance with the Canadian auditing standards. As of today, the audit is substantially complete, so after council approval tonight of the statements is when we would issue our auditor's report. I will go over it in a bit more detail when I get to the statements, but our auditor's report is an unmodified opinion, so a clean opinion on the statements. The next section, so I'll go to the next page here, is our audit reporting matters. Again, a summary of just some of the results and our required communications to council here. So as a changes from the audit service plan, there were no deviations from our audit service plan that was previously presented. Our final materiality for the audit was 430,000 in comparison to 414,000 in the prior year. This is basically our threshold by which we use in order to issue our opinion and base our opinion based off this threshold of all of our testing that we perform. While our audit can't be relied on to detect instances of fraud, there were no instances that were brought to our attention for fraud, as well as no instances were brought up in respect to non-compliance of laws and regulations or any other significant matters in connection with related parties. There were no events or conditions that have been identified that may cast doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. I will highlight some key changes again when I get to the statements on the accounting estimates and policies and changes that occurred in the year, but relatively pretty much the same as last year. There were no significant differences. On the next page here, again, disclosure, same thing. I'll go into OneNote disclosure in a bit of detail. There were no significant deficiencies in internal controls that we identified as part of our audit, as well as there were no significant matters that we discussed with management that should be brought to council's attention. The next section here is related to our significant risk areas and our testing of responses and conclusions. The first two significant risks here are related to fraud risk of revenue recognition. This exists in every organization, same as last year as well. So there is that presumed fraud risk related to that revenue recognition. We do perform testing on a sample basis, tracing them to invoices as well as subsequent payment from the customer as well. We do perform journal entry testing as well as we inquire with management about any suspected fraud that might have occurred in the year. And so happy to report there were no issues identified as a result of this testing that we performed. The second significant risk area is our fraud risk from management override of controls. This is just a fancy way of saying that management is in that unique position they can record journal entries. And so this again exists in every organization as a potential fraud risk. And so we do perform tests of journal entries. We select a sample of them and we get supporting documentation from management. And again, happy to report no issues were identified as a result of the testing that was performed. And then we did identify one higher risk area, which is just related to asset retirement obligations. That was a new standard that came into effect last year. And so our response here is just we inquired with management on if there were any new asset retirement obligations that we should know for the year, as well as if there were any changes in any of the estimates. And again, no issues were identified with the testing that was performed. Few of the other areas here, so our auditor independence, we do confirm that we are independent of the village. And then we have requested certain representations from management, as well as just at the right here on the summary of unadjusted differences. There were a few differences that were identified throughout the audit. Overall, the net surplus impact is 207,000, which is below our testing threshold or our overall materiality, which is why we can still issue a clean opinion on the statements as a result of these differences. The appendix here, I'm not going to go into detail. It is just a summary of our required communications with council in accordance with the Canadian auditing standards. So I'm going to pause here just to see if council has any questions on the audit findings letter.
Anyone?
We didn't get a chance to go through it, so something may come up after the fact.
Yeah, I'll add this to the agenda material and any questions come up, we can.
Definitely reach out to me, or Ashley's email is also on the audit findings letter, so we are actually happy to answer any questions. So we can move on to the financial statements then. We'll go to the independent auditors report on page, there's two on right there, there we go. Again, it is the same report as last year, so we're issuing a clean unmodified opinion on the statements, which means there were no material misstatements that we identified as a result of our audit. We'll then move down to the statement of financial position, so page 4, right here. So overall, summary of the total assets, liabilities, and accumulated surplus for the village. We can see the total financial assets here did decrease slightly, 11.5 million in comparison to 2.2 million, largely as a result of a decrease in cash and cash equivalents. Total liabilities did also decrease, 1.5 million in the current year versus 2 million in the prior year, largely as a result of that deferred revenue line not going down to 0. Our non-financial assets, so the tangible capital assets and prepaids, overall went up in the year as a result of an increase in the capital assets, which then gets us to our final accumulated surplus number of 38 million in comparison to 36 million in the prior year. The next statement, the statement of operations and accumulated surplus, summarizes all the revenue and expenses of the village. Total revenues ended at 10 million in comparison to 8 million in the prior year, so up slightly, largely related to some of the grant lines in revenues. Total expenses ended at 8.1 million versus 7.4 million, again slightly up over the prior year, getting us to an annual surplus of about 2 million. Then we have that reconciliation of accumulated surplus where we get the beginning balance, which is prior year closing balance, adding in the adjustment of laws, which is basically change in ownership and laws, and ending at that accumulated surplus number, which then does match what is showing on the statement of financial position. The next statement here is the statement of net financial assets. So this is just a reconciliation, again, going back to that statement of financial position, and it summarizes the activity of the capital assets as well as prepaid expenses. And then it reconciles starting at the beginning of the year, adding in those increases and decreases in the net financial assets and getting to that 10 million number, which does show up on the statement of financial position. And then finally, we do have our statement of cash flow here, which basically summarizes all the operating, capital, and investing activity of the village. And then reconciling back from the cash at the beginning of year, so cash closing last year, adding in all this activity and getting us to that final cash number. So it just shows the activity that the village had in respect to cash. I believe it is page, there's quite a few pages. 14, where it has a change in accounting policy, which is just the one note that I did want to bring up right here, note number 2. So basically, in accordance with the Public Sector Accounting Board, they did issue an update to the revenue recognition standard, and basically just providing more guidance on when revenue should be recognized in the statements. And we did an analysis and had conversations with management, and there were no material impacts. So basically the way that they've been doing it is in accordance with the standard. Other than that, and so as a result, actually in note 1 then, there is some minor changes in that significant accounting policy, but again, no significant changes in operations and how the accounting team has been doing it. And other than that, all the other notes are consistent with the prior year. So happy to go over any questions that council may have.
Right, I was just looking for the note that relates to Lambton Area Water Supply System and change in percentage of ownership.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about.
So every year, I think the change in percentage is based on the water flow and everything.
okay.
So there's always that equity adjustment because I think it would have decreased in the year, I believe, is the percent, but the percentage is dictated by laws based
Okay.
on the water.
I was thinking there's the same 5 members, so I couldn't figure out
Right.
what you meant, but
Sorry,
it's
yes.
based on water. Yeah, okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have one through you, I don't know if this go to Jim or Jane or to you. The cash and cash equivalents. So on page 15, in 2023, we had 3.25 million. And then in 2024, we have under 1.5 million. Do we know where that cash went?
We're looking at page 15,
Number 3, cash and cash equivalents.
cash and cash equivalents,
So cash on deposit.
and then the cash equivalent. So I mean, unless Jane or Jim has a better response than I do, but from my understanding, again, that cash flow statement is really gonna show you where kind of that cash went, but I do believe a good part of that is the St. Clair Road project, and there was a lot more money spent there, and then you can see the increase in cash and cash equivalents. Essentially, what is in that line is the investments that the village holds that is maturing in less than a year. So that balance kind of increased this year. And so that's why that 2.2 million did increase over the 1.65 this year. But again, if Jim or Jane has any other comment, but.
No, that's fair. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Perfect, great.
Thank you for
Thanks so
coming to see us.
I love coming to Fort Ed.
Well,
Do you
maybe
really?
not at the end of your workday.
I really do. The drive is easy. It's not too bad, but thank you so much for having
Thank you.
me.
So normal procedure would be to pass a motion adopting the financial statements at this point. I don't know if council's comfortable with that at this point, or if you want a chance to review the audit.
Just save it
audit
for the next
findings.
step.
We don't meet again until late September, but it's just what you're comfortable.
Well, we could accept it as a draft.
That would work, would it?
Yeah, that doesn't really
No.
do much.
Okay,
Who's the finance chair right now? Are you prepared to move it?
I think we should move it.
Is there a deadline for these things to be passed? Like for financial statements have to be done by a certain time or?
Nope, I don't think so. So if it is just gonna give you guys time to review it, and then it'll be at the next meeting, which I think you said is in September. That would be then the date that we would end up finalizing the financial statements, is when the official council approval, so I can be in communication with you, Jim,
Okay.
on that sort of thing. And
So there's no real downside to waiting.
Nope, I don't, nope, other
And
than.
I mean, if something comes up and we meet, you know,
earlier.
before that, we can deal with it at that time, but.
Yeah. The only consideration is the FIR, so as long as we can get that in by the end of September,
Mhm.
that would be the only thing.
Okay.
That would be contingent on the approval of the financial statements, but I think if we get it in before the end of September, it shouldn't have any impacts to the grant funding and everything, so.
Just
It'll be okay.
before we do that, like, we didn't get the one document, but everything that was in that was in these other attachments, right? So we have everything necessary to pass it. Is that
Yes,
correct?
you do. There was just our audit findings, which was just the summary of the results of our audit, but like, for example, the summary of unadjusted differences, that was included in the
Yeah, that's
package.
what I thought.
The adjusting entries, trial balance, and these statements were all in the package. It was just this document that I went through first.
So I'm confused why, as a council, we wanted to delay this. Cause I've read
Yeah.
through everything that came and it's just.
This was just a summary basically of everything that was there in a nice format, I
Yeah,
would
it would,
say.
it would have made our job easier preparing for the meeting if we had had it. so.
Right. So again, up to council, on next step, but.
If everything's in what we did receive, then
I'm comfortable with doing it that way, rather than hold it up, worrying about that September deadline.
Right.
I can motion.
Motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil. Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Feel free to go for fries or ice cream or something while you're here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you got the mover and seconder.
Okay, so we're on to adoption minutes.
Council minutes, adoption minutes from June 24th. Council Burgess, Deputy Mayor Grimes, was that your hand?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw a hand.
I'm sending her a thumbs up, but
Oh, okay,
it also works for second.
I misinterpreted. Questions? Before we vote? All in favor? Thank you. The next one was council meeting, July the 8th.
I'll move.
Councilor Mondu. Thank you. Any questions on those minutes? All in favor? Thank you. Move on to financial reports. general operations, financial reports for June 2025.
I will move that the total revenue from general operations for the month of June 2025 in the amount of $6,864,409.52 be approved. And that the total expenditures in general operations for the month of June 2025 in the amount of $925,311.56 be approved.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Move on to environmental services financial statements.
I'll move that the total revenues in environmental services for the month of June 2025 in the amount of $38 be approved. And that the total expenditures in environmental services for the month of June 2025 in the amount of $121,450.24 be approved. And that updated financial statements for the month of May 2025 showing revenues of $137,512.91 and expenditures of $237,599.01 be received and filed. Thank you.
Councilor Burgess. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to committee reports, and the first one is operations, and that was on June the 8th. July the 8th, so.
The minutes of the operations committee held July the 8th, 2025 be approved as circulated.
I'll second that.
Okay. Everyone? Any comments?
Yeah, there's just one item on there. I just want to highlight that we had an expense regarding the Olympia, and it's in there. And it'll come in the budget line as an overage. There's a repair that was required. And just want to make sure everybody saw that highlighted.
Which is why it goes away in the summer for a checkup.
Yeah, it's an important piece of equipment.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Next one is fire committee.
I'll move that the minutes of the fire committee meeting held July 8th be approved as circulated.
Thank you.
I have a couple highlights from that meeting, if I could. The county of Lambton Public Health and Bases are developing a code 10 protocol for downstream spill management, which will be submitted to the ECB upon completion. That is downriver, doesn't really involve us, but it just means that, you know, they're all working together on environmental issues. The exterior work planned is going to be planned later in the summer for the fire hall. They're looking to do some painting, but they're waiting for the dust to settle from the construction. And also it was noted by the chief that problems have been occurring with communications and dispatch radios and pagers, and this is a county-wide issue. So they're being investigated by the fire chiefs, and they're looking into additional information to see if they can work out some resolution. My report.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, move on to environmental services.
I'll move that the environmental services committee meeting from July the 8th be received and filed.
Seconded, thank you.
Just the comments are that St. Clair Street's ongoing. I think the work's progressing very well. This phase 234. It was very nice to see. I'm seeing a significant change in traffic flow personally with the new crosswalks and the pedestrian crossings. People are stopping and are slowing down, and I think it's really having the impact that we were after. It'll be nice when Monk and Alfred are completed as well. So yeah, so it's going well. Staff are very involved in monitoring it and making good progress. So knock wood.
I just make a comment related to that. So I'm seeing on social media that people are saying, why not this corner, why not that corner, which is what we would expect to see. But it was fact that we had a traffic study done by professionals who determined where they should go. So it wasn't, I just want to make the point that it wasn't council that picked this, that, right? Because they said there wasn't neighbor involvement in where the traffic crosswalks went. So it was done by professional study, and that's what we accepted.
And I must say the use of the black poles in the downtown makes it blend in with our existing streetlights much better, so it integrates very nicely into our decor our downtown decor, so.
Question for the mayor, just, do we have a digester grant? Is that still money sitting out there?
Not very much money left in it.
Okay.
And that's, we're investigating
Okay,
things with that, yes.
Next steps.
Yes.
okay, great, thank you.
So all in favor? Thank you. And then finance committee?
I will move that the minutes of the finance committee meeting held July 8th, 2025 be as circulated.
I'll second that.
Councilmember.
Just one note from our meeting, is, we finalized, I believe, the new process for donations. So that would be shared with people who have applied for them in the past, and it'll be sent out with some instructions, and will be available to help work through any bumps along the way. It's a fillable form and it should streamline things.
So just as a reminder, so it was looking to get requests in September, perhaps, since we're moving our budget process to this year instead of March as we've done in the past. So we'll be sending information out. If you want to request money, here's what you do, and it'll be earlier in the year than in the past.
Can I just add one thing? I've been, a couple charities have been talking to me, and I told them that we've changed our process. Will the counselors be notified when this is, when everything's ready? That, if they're not on the list, that we can have them.
You should have them reach out to me.
Okay, reach out to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? To communications receive and file 1 through 4. Thank you.
Second.
Mayor Grimes, all in favor? Okay, that's carried. New business.
I have a question.
Sorry.
No building reports are, building permits. No, there's nothing. It's usually in that package, and I know in the past that if we didn't get any, it doesn't appear, but.
Yep.
I'm sure it wasn't an oversight.
New business cash flow and financing of major capital projects, and there's a report to refer to.
Yeah, so there's 2 documents circulated there. One is a summary of, so at the last meeting, approval was given to the Environmental Services Building. And we committed to providing a report on how we're going to finance those 3 big projects, being the Environmental Services, St. Clair, and Michigan. So the total cost of those projects is 10.75 million. In my mind, I've broken it down. We have spent 4 where's the number? 4 million and change. I'll call it change. It's probably substantial change. 4.3 million. Thank you. And then we've got, between now and next year, we'll have another 7 million or so come in. So we're going to end up with about 11.3, I believe, is the number. So it's about a $600,000 buffer there, between what we're anticipating in revenue and what we anticipate the expenses to be on those 3 projects. That takes into account borrowing $6 million from Infrastructure Ontario for the road project. We anticipate the internal borrowing to be for the sewage treatment facility building. And then there's some numbers there on how we could potentially pay those back. If we pay the building off over 10 years, I think that it would be a little bit aggressive to try and pay that amount of money off in 10 years. If we pay it off over 20 years, the payments come out to approximately $150,000 a year. The current rate for reserves generates approximately $450,000 a year. So our proposal would be to pay $150,000 to the internal loan on the building out of sewage, our wastewater department, reserve generated that year. So if we're going to generate 450, 150 of it would go to the building. The other 300 would go to other capital needs of the department. In order to, if council wished to increase that reserve rate per cubic meter, you would need about another 45 cents a cubic meter to generate that $150,000 to pay the bill. So if you wanted to continue to generate 450, you would need to, for those purposes, and then generate separate money for the building, you need about another 50 cents, 45 to 50 cents per cubic meter to do that. And then the road, the $6 million, you're looking at to pay it off over 10 years, you're looking at $728,000, $730,000 a year, which is slightly less than half of what we would generate from the casino. We are budgeting for this year 1.85 million. We've gotten 2 quarters now. Each quarter is approximately $40,000 less than last year. So for whatever reason, revenues are down casino this year, probably in the range of $150,000 to $175,000. So that would bring us down to about 1.7-ish. And 750 would go, 730 of it would go towards the road. I would like to point out that once you borrow money from Infrastructure Ontario, you cannot pay it back early. That's just part of the deal with them is you take a 10-year loan and you can't pay it back. If the casino were to start generating $3 million and we had extra money, you can't pay that loan back. So whatever we do there, we're tied into it for 10 years.
Through the chair, the mayor to him, is there any possibilities with the building, or I know we're getting close to shovels in the ground and stuff, any grant money out there? I know we're looking at grant money for some of the generators and stuff that we've bought already, but is there still a chance that we could get something for that, or even the road project? Because, until we start paying, we can get some money in to help us.
I would say probably not very often. The government, senior levels of government come along with a grant program for projects that are already underway. Once you've started, and it's a fine balance because they want you to be shovel ready, but they don't want you to be started.
So you can't have the shovel on the ground.
Not generally, no.
Okay.
So I would say not very likely. We talked with this money that the grant we're using to apply for the generators and such. We talked to her about the building for that project and she recommended against it. She didn't think she thought the generators was a better fit.
That was the first idea, was it was for the buildings, and then it got moved over to the generators. So.
Yeah. And there was about 4 options talked about. There was the building, the generators, some engineering work over in the church, Simpson Street. Was there a 4th one? Just 3? Okay. So those were the 3 that we gave her, and she recommended. I guess we talked about digesters too, but it was kind of a fringe discussion on that. But
Okay, thank you.
Just that last casino payment, I thought it was $16,000 short from last year. Anyway, I'm just saying, and the reason is because of the reduced numbers of cross-border patrons is impacting what they're making.
So you commented a couple times that we would take 700 and some odd thousand out of the casino revenue potentially, but is not 100% of our casino revenue already accounted for in our budgets?
No, it is council discretion every year how that money's spent. None of it is committed I mean, we make an effort to put as much of it into capital as we can. We do use some of it to offset operating. In the past, when I started here, we had a loan with Infrastructure Ontario for the work on the arena and on Michigan Ave.
Yep.
And so there was every year that number was an automatic plug-in number.
So this,
So I
so-
guess,
yeah, so this plan will affect capital potentially for the next 10 years, because we will be allocating almost half of it out, and so.
Any other questions?
so, I mean, in terms of decisions on 10-year versus 20-year for the building, I think we'll come back, when it's time to make the decision, we'll make the decision. This report was basically about cash flowing the projects up front. When it comes time to make the long-term borrowing plan, like 10 versus 20 versus 30, if you want to go, you can do anything. Well, you can do a lot. But I think when it's time to make those final decisions about how to finance project, the treasurer and I will come back with a recommendation on the specific.
And the $6 million for infrastructure, is that a pre-approval? We don't have to take the full 6.
We don't have to,
So
no,
if we find some money somewhere or something happens,
absolutely.
okay, and we can go over 6.
No, we're approved for 6.
Okay, oh, proof for up to 6.
Yeah, we're pre-approved for 6.
Okay.
Another option we can look at, and I don't know, I mean, we can look at borrowing from sources other than Infrastructure Ontario too. I mean, we can investigate the regular banks and see what their rates are. And it might, they might be slightly higher usually, but you also have the option of prepaying them normally with the regular banks.
Mhm.
You can prepay, so it might be, we'll probably look at that when it comes time to make the final plan. We'll probably look at borrowing from the regular banks and see what the differences are.
I think when we did Michigan Ave and that loan, that was a 20-year,
It was a 10,
was 10, was it?
Yep. 10 years, 20 payments.
Oh, okay, there's where I got 20 then.
Yeah. Yeah, because that one we paid every 6 months. Like Infrastructure Ontario has a loan calculator, and it is incredible the amount of money you save by making a monthly payment. Like it especially at this amount of money, it's like, I want to say it was a couple $100,000, maybe even more. It was a substantial
Okay.
savings.
Every 2 weeks versus
Well, I don't know if that's an
Oh.
option or not.
but monthly versus.
Monthly versus twice annual.
Oh, okay.
There's
Yes, that would make a
substantial
huge difference. Yeah.
So, it's an extra number of transactions for Jane to process, but.
But we do EFT now, it'll just be like, and off it goes.
So do we, make a motion to receive and file?
Yep,
or-
that's what's here, yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
comfortable with that, that's,
Also move that.
Seconder, okay. Is an up and then all in favor. Okay. Move on to responsible animal ownership bylaw.
so as a note here says, this was discussed about 2 years ago. And it was in response to some issues we were having with dogs. So this bylaw was discussed by council at the time. We've recirculated it to the Ministry of the Attorney General. They reviewed it, made some recommendations, and so we have the bylaw here for consideration tonight.
Is there supposed to be a bylaw attached to this?
The bylaw is below. So it's on here as a new business item, and then the bylaw is under the bylaw section.
Okay.
The big thing here is there has been some discussion around the table about licensing dogs. And if about licensing them or not licensing them. And if we want to continue with licensing in 2026, that decision needs to be, the tags need to be ordered now. It's not a huge expense, $250 ish. So, but we just felt we're bringing this forward now because we've got it back from the ministry, and we want to know if council wants to proceed. And it was basically a question, we all know there's a number of dogs in the village that aren't licensed. We've chosen not to put the resources to have somebody go around and license dogs. So the discussion that has taken place, and it's been fairly minor discussion so far. Because of the number of dogs that aren't licensed, should we just forego licensing completely? It doesn't forego you from having to have your dog on a leash and like all the other rules apply. It's just the licensing that wouldn't take place. And then the question is the revenue we generate worth the work that it takes?
Deputy Mayor Grimes?
I remember in 2023, we talked about a lot of municipalities have gone to a virtual dog tag through apps. And we were going to investigate that.
Yeah, that hasn't happened. We haven't looked into that at all. I did talk to Troy just to see how it works. And theirs isn't necessarily a virtual. They just, if you have a license 1 year, they automatically send you a license the next year. And it's the ratepayer's responsibility to go in and say, we don't have a dog anymore. So that's, and that to me, that would work. Somebody we talked to about the system they have in the city of Sarnia, and it's not feasible for a municipality this size because of the expense, is what we were told. So we haven't looked into it very far, but that was the feedback that I received at that time. And if we wish to do what Petrolia does, I think we would engage somebody to go around door to door and make sure as many dogs as possible are licensed. And then it becomes a responsibility of the owner to tell us that they no longer have the dog.
I don't do a patrol.
Questions?
I see more negatives than positives here. I was wondering if staff could do a report on different options for us, looking at the whole process. It's more than just licensing. There's vaccinations, there's dog, there's safety to residents and that as well. And if you do away with tags, for instance, that means the non-dog owners are now paying for your animal control fees. Whereas if you're a dog owner, you subsidize that. Right? So that's my 2 cents on it.
So the as far as vaccinations go, as far as maintaining control of your animal, those things still all apply. Your dog still has to be vaccinated. If your dog is not, there is a fine for that.
But how
If you're
you won't know.
Well,
Won't be
if it's
able to
reported
identify the
to us, I
dog.
mean, if you have a dog and your dog gets loose and bites somebody.
Yeah.
And it's reported to us, then,
It's after the fact.
it-
I see this
Sure.
no different than, I haven't had a fire at my house, but I subsidize the fire department, yet people will fires, like, different than a dog owner, right? Like,
I think it needs more investigation myself. Rather than making a snap decision.
I
And
would
that's-
suggest we order the tags, it's
Okay.
only $250.
yeah, it's not a huge.
And if we decide to not move forward, we can just throw them out or recycle them, or
How do you control like numbers of dogs in a house and?
it's complaint based.
Yeah, it's the same way it is now. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't police it,
People who have
No.
more dogs than they're allowed probably don't come in and get 9 tags. Right?
Right.
Because they know they
would
can't.
Get known, right?
No, because they wouldn't come in and get
Yeah.
tags, right? So.
Yeah.
And how many tags do we sell annually?
50,
Yeah.
And how much are they each?
50, 60?
$40 on average, in the range of $40.
So we're talking $2,000 in revenue. What's our Humane Society?
About 4,500 to the Humane Society. 4,100, something in that range. I'm totally happy to go back and try and find more
Yep.
information. If you can just maybe send me an email, and let me know what you'd like me to look into. And I can,
The reality is, very few municipal things are cost recovery. There typically is a loss or sharing of the expense. We're talking $2,000 in revenue in a $10 million operation. It's not like a big number for staff to worry about ordering them, issuing them, doing all the paperwork. I could see us going away from it. Do you know if maybe if we approve Tim's request for report, like look at some other communities that have done away with dog tags and or have done the opposite. Like, and I'll just say my son works for the city of Kitchener in bylaw, and they had a campaign where they sent bylaw officers door to door, knocked at the door. They knew on their phone who had bought a dog tag. They hear dog barking, they leave a letter saying your dog's not licensed, come in and pay. They had huge uptick in dog tags issued that year. And they would just knock at the door, because we all know when you knock at the door, a dog goes crazy. And so that's how they were able to identify. And so that may be an option for us to do a door-to-door campaign with somebody, either a summer student to go door to door and just, when you hear a dog barking, leave a letter. Based on our records of how many we have, and we may get it up so that it is cost neutral to the community. We can double the number of dog tags. It doesn't have to be a summer student, it'd be somebody we hire on a 2-week contract to go walk the village with a clipboard and a vest and just have a preformed letter that they leave, right?
Okay, I'll do some investigation that way. And if anyone has any other ideas, just please share them with me. And
So the 2,000 that we collect through the tags is part of the 4,500 that. goes to the
basically,
site.
I mean,
Well, it'd be nice to up the number to at least make it a little bit more neutral.
Yeah.
To cover the Humane Society cost, otherwise that's $2,000 we don't have covered.
But we haven't covered it for decades, probably.
No,
right?
I mean,
Yeah,
we lose the initial 2,000. I
right.
mean, that we do. have.
Yes, yeah, I hear
If
you.
you stop,
Yes, yeah.
then we're 2,000 under.
We're always looking for revenue.
Also looking to control
dogs.
dogs. Yeah.
But
Like,
I think we have to remember what Jim said is whether the dog is a tag or not doesn't really change the requirements of the dog owner and their obligations. They have to be vaccinated.
Yeah,
They have to be kept under control. They have to be on a leash. All those rules stay in effect. It's just we're not tracking them.
but maybe some of our base, the reason they are staying on top of things like needles is because they are coming in for
Yeah.
licenses, so you're kind of making sure people.
Yes. But you just have
stay
to
on top of
remember,
that.
the people that are coming in and getting tags would vaccinate their dogs anyways, right?
Yeah.
They're responsible
Well,
pet
hopefully,
owners.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the ones that we don't know about
Yeah.
that are the problem.
So.
So we need a seconder for this report
Yeah.
request.
Who did it? Who seconded it?
Tim made the motion.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Hey, anybody with community events?
There's
There's a curb
Oh,
cut.
sorry, I missed one. Yes, I missed the curb cut. 718 Ernest Street.
I posed the question just prior to the meeting through Jim. Did you get any information back?
he hasn't answered. No, he's right at quitting time.
Okay.
So, what I would suggest, I mean, he has commented, as you say, that
Yeah.
he had no concerns. If council's willing with approving the curb cut, subject to or verification from the planner that there's nothing, again, it doesn't violate any bylaw to allow car.
So,
parking in front of the
and
door.
just so everybody's on the same page, I asked Jim, I thought you weren't allowed to park a motor vehicle in front of your front door. I thought that was a bylaw somewhere that I remember reading or hearing about it when we brought up, so that you can't park directly in front of your door. I know a lot of people in this community do. There've been driveway widenings over the years that permit it, but so I just asked him if he could check on that to make sure that we have set a precedent. We have allowed driveway widenings, so it must be permitted, but I remember somebody telling me once that it's not, so. So I'll move that we approve the curb cut allocation pending verification that a vehicle can be parked directly in front of a front door.
I'll second
Thank you. All in favor? Oh,
Got a bunch of new business.
okay,
servants, too.
then
So there's a number of issues around St. Clair Street construction that have come up over the last day, and we're supposed to get some numbers yesterday. Cost issues about this, but we haven't got them yet, so I'll just run through them with you. And then we'll reach out once we have the numbers. So the first one, the multi-purpose path between Bridge Street and the Veterans Park. They came to us with a proposal to put in a concrete pathway instead of asphalt. The price we're paying for asphalt is roughly $56 a square meter. Concrete would be somewhere around 60. The quality, the durability of concrete would make it a wise investment. The only thing is that $60 square meter price is the path would only be 2.1 meters wide, where asphalt would be 3. So we'd be 7 feet wide instead of 10 feet wide. And that, like all our paths now are 10 feet. There's already asphalt up to Bridge Street from front. So our recommendation is we just leave it as designed and leave it as an asphalt path. But we wanted to just make sure that, you know, you're aware that there was a discussion took place.
So it would be 56 versus 60, but it would be less
It'd be
square
a
footage.
smaller
So
area.
would it
End up
save
with
us money?
saving money.
And would it eliminate, I think there's a couple spots where we split, you go around poles, would it eliminate that, or would it still split? Mike's got his hand up.
Sorry, if I may, for the mayor. It's not a cost saving aspect. I want to confirm that you're getting a smaller amount of space for transit both ways. For a higher price. The longer, as in terms of a long-term durability of the product, yes, there is a longer, it'll have much longer lifespan and will not have to be repaired as quickly or as often as asphalt. The concern does that it is 7 feet. It doesn't conform with the other additional pathways that already exist within the community. To what you mentioned, the engineer was able to make a modification to the existing design to allow a 10-foot pathway to have a single transit, like one single pathway instead of like around both poles, which was a request that we tried to make sure that we did. Wanted to make sure that it was completed, and he was able to do so.
So we're not gonna be splitting it.
No.
Poles. And then, why can't cement be wider than 7 feet?
It can, what happens is the unit that this company would be bringing down has a 7-foot swath. In order to make it a 10-foot swath, they would actually have to hand form the rest, which would astronomically increase the price.
Yeah.
So they have a machine that forms it
Correct.
like a paver, like a paving machine, but
Exactly.
cement.
Yes.
While you make a comment, there's a standard for multi-use paths widths.
Width wise.
Yeah, and I guess it AODA or whatever now, everything's got a standard. So that would, I don't think 2.1 meters is the standard. I believe it's wider. 3?
We wondered about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you can just change the name of it. It's no longer
To be a-
multi-use.
to be a
path,
wide
it's a
sidewalk.
But the purpose of it is be a multi-purpose path.
In that area, you're right in the middle of, you know, an area where all of a sudden, why does it narrow? You know,
And it is our hope to try and get more people to bike and go down St. Clair Street to get down to the bridges. So by changing it back to a sidewalk people are used to riding on asphalt on a multi-use path.
We also got a grant
yes.
For a multi-purpose.
from
path.
Yeah.
in that spot.
Yeah.
So that would be not following through on our commitment. I
Okay.
think.
Another issue is, in front of Veterans Park, the boulevard has widened out quite a bit. The road has narrowed, so we were thinking of filling in between the fence and the curb, complete concreting the entire thing. And then putting a curb cut in front of the gate in front of the monument, leaving the man gate the way it is, but putting a curb cut in front of the monument, concreting that whole thing. We rough figuring, we thought it would cost about $10,000 extra, but we thought with specifically for the Remembrance Day ceremony that goes on down there, it might be nice to have the concreted surface there. We thought put a couple of nice flower pots in the front with, we've got some ideas there too, so,
I thought that was the design, that it was
No.
going to be Smith's.
Again, if I may, through the mayor, just consulting with I had a conversation with the engineer this afternoon about that. You are correct, there was an initial small pad that was in that location. This would be an addition to that, so an additional cost to be able to fill that in directly to the boulevard. I offhand do not know the exact distance, but yes, there was an initial pad that was in that space. When I was speaking to Danny earlier, that's what he had mentioned, so.
so we're talking gate to gate or
Curb to park.
curb to park from fence limit to fence limit, the
Yep.
whole thing
Okay.
concrete.
No, that makes sense.
Okay,
And then,
it will look
And-
like a big chunk of concrete,
and then
Yeah,
but
decorate it
we
up.
can make it look nice.
That's
Maybe
our
put a
parade
bench.
square.
That was one of the ideas to allow for the event to be able to have a much easier access for pedestrians, during. the
Not
event.
stepping over curbs.
Correct. And it's during certain events that could act as a temporary stop for busing that we've had in the past where it adds egress to the arena.
Oh, like for the seniors, so
Yeah,
is the curb already poured there?
Not as yet.
Okay, perfect.
Wasn't when I was by earlier today, so
The curb,
I'm sorry, the curb is poured. My fault. Yes, the curb is poured. The concrete pad is not poured.
So does the curb have to come out or?
They would just cut it. They would just be able to cut the back off. That's it.
and then the third piece, either the last meeting or the meeting before, council instructed us to look into the intersection of Helena and Arthur for next year.
Mhm.
We are kind of thinking that it'd be much more economical to do it this year, so we've been working on numbers. Again, we expected to have those numbers by the end of the day today, but we don't yet, so. They're seeing if that can work into their plans, and they've been given no authority to go ahead and do it. We want to know what it's gonna cost first. So
And then when you get the number, how would we approve or deny?
I would do that by
As
an
an
email.
electronic poll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're gonna divert a lot of traffic down to there. And you'll do the race corner and yeah, so it might be very preemptive.
That intersection is it 2.5 or 3 meters narrower
3 meters narrower.
at Arthur than it is at Louisa, so it's a
Okay.
lot smaller intersection. But they're looking at it,
Okay,
and I just wanted you to know that we were
yeah, thank you for,
looking at it and
Sorry,
no, you have points to add.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to, again, specify that by doing it now, we're going to look at economies of scale. The idea was that we're going to plan to do any removal of any of the asphalt top at the exact same time they were looking at doing Alfred while waiting for the work to be done on phase 2 and 3, so they can pave everything at one single time and allowing for less transit equipment in the space, just have it all done in one shot. So that's why looking and trying to obtain these numbers and then with council approval, and that would be helpful. And I made phone calls before coming into the meeting, and sadly I don't have the numbers yet, but hopefully we'll have it tomorrow.
so those were the three things.
That was
So note or leave the path as asphalt,
Yeah.
concrete in front of the park, and we'll find out about Louisa and Alina. Council might recall about a year and a half ago, it was either Enbridge or Union Gas came in to make a presentation to us about basically energy efficiency stuff. So I got an email from them about a week ago, and the pilot project has been approved. It's going forward in this community. Sarnia Lambton, maybe just Sarnia Point Edward.
this is with the thermostat setback.
Yeah,
like-
that's one of the things they could do. So they are moving ahead with it. They wanted to come make presentation at council, so I replied right away. I think it was like last Tuesday or Wednesday, they sent the email asking to come, and I said, well, we have a meeting on today, and then we don't have another one until September, and you're welcome to come, but I haven't heard from them. So there may be a presentation to us, and I'll invite you to join. I haven't heard back from them, so I just wanted to let you know.
But just to confirm, they don't need our approval.
Not
It's
really,
More an
no,
FYI,
it's just
we're doing this with
exactly.
a
This is
customer.
where people could sign up. to
Yep.
be part- Are there,
I have it with my electricity right now,
Yeah.
where they adjust my AC when they need.
Last week, they kept turning it off.
Yeah,
They just up at 2 degrees.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
For an hour, and then, you know, just when the time is just about right up, well, it's another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Where they, you know, left 2 degrees.
Ours
It
does it
was
too.
okay, it wasn't, no big
It
issue.
doesn't bother you?
you don't
No.
notice till a
Okay.
couple hours later, saying, wow, was it ever hot in here? And then you go look and say, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because, Blue Water Power is controlling the
Yeah,
thermostat.
you're getting control.
But there's many a day we're not home anyways,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
adjusted it up, so it doesn't matter, so,
But they give you incentives.
yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a smart thermostat for, I saved over $100. And then when I signed up for this program, they sent me a $75 credit card. And then if I stay on it, every year, they're gonna give me $25, just. So,
You know,
There's also the option to opt out even during the program.
Yeah,
So
you
if-
can.
if-
You can
if at
override
any
it.
Point, you can.
Oh, yeah, like,
you can override it.
when we know it's just getting hot, I just
Correct.
override it and wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're not.
Like, they're not total control, you
Yeah.
can,
I wasn't thinking, we can go back and turn it down.
yeah.
You're not in the house, it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, that's everything I have.
okay.
Can I just
I
ask one
yeah,
question?
I have one after you. too.
So Mr. Mike is here. Louisa and Helene. My understanding was they were gonna do some regrading there. Because they've got the curbs all poured now, and today they were cleaning everything up, so are they gonna be removing asphalt now?
No. No, so yeah, so through the mayor, yes, you are correct. They have done all that work right now. Now they're waiting again for one, if there will be approval for the other intersection, they will do the same.
Oh, they're gonna do the both
They're
at the
going-
same time?
They're gonna phase
Okay.
it so that there's allows traffic through that space, but it also, kind of creates one big mess and then clean up all at the same.
Okay,
time.
I was
Yes.
just thinking, well, you know, I thought we had approved that, and then I saw the curbs, and
Yeah.
then today they were cleaning everything up, and I'm going, oh, that looks good. You know, they were doing a lot of peripheral work.
Yeah, there'll be a full removal of the.
Okay.
For the Alfred crossing, I saw the locates are done. Do you know when they're starting that?
They have given us a date mid-August.
August 5th.
August
To
5th
start,
is what they're hoping to, and then they're going to, we've asked them for a 2.5 week timeline to be able to complete that. And again, that's where they're hoping to tie in what these other projects are.
And presumably Monk's the same?
Monk,
is done.
Done.
Oh, it's done. Oh,
Monk is done,
I-
they'll just.
They gotta put up the. Yeah, so.
right.
They've got, yeah,
That's what I meant.
one additional
Finish.
closure for
Yeah.
paint. They'll be
Okay.
putting the thermal paint down on
PXO.
Michigan and such, and then putting the PXO.
Thank you. Any other updates that you want to say? Okay. Anybody have anything?
No.
I just have two things. Just a reminder, Friday night is the next, Vintage in the Village. Vintage at the park, from 4 till 8, hope for the weather. We looked it up, looks like Friday night rain, but,
No.
Friday morning.
oh, I thought it was in the evening.
No.
Okay, well then we might back out. Okay, and then I just wanted to, from my meeting last week with Sonia Lampton Tourism, I just wanted to point out, there's discussion about mat tax. And an interesting fact is, revenue collection is down in like Windsor and London and up in Sarnia. So they're continuing to get hotels at, what was it? 10%. And make 4.3% revenue. So the Holiday Inn, like Jeff said, busy all the time. So we're not seeing as much impact with the border here as far as the hotels go. So that means that we're still collecting the revenue. So that's one thing that isn't impacted.
I think a lot of Americans are realizing what our dollar's worth and are either on the way home, stopping here to spend the night before they continue
Yeah.
on. I'm seeing a lot of US plates at the 4 Points, or when they're heading into Canada, they're getting here in the evening and stopping on our side. Because they're,
Except, our last meeting with the bridge, cars are still, like, was it 33%?
but I mean, the ones that are
Yeah,
taking advantage of our
but the
dollar.
cars are still down, but he said it is less down here than other communities like Windsor, Sault Ste. Marie and all, they bigger impacts with people not crossing in cars. And of course, trucks are a record, so we're in the #1 crossing for like 5 months in a row. Beat out Windsor, so. A lot of that is some of that is based on the cost to cross at Windsor for trucks, based on their number of wheels. As to, they caught on that it's cheaper here and save a lot of money. So,
It's interesting, as I was in Windsor on the weekend and usually during churches just plug the
Okay.
trucks and it wasn't near as
Yeah.
busy as what I've seen it. So I was thinking they must be coming our way.
Yeah.
But maybe in the fall we'll send them their way when they open the new bridge.
but they're not expecting that to happen
Is that right?
because the new bridge is gonna cost the same or more than the Ambassador.
But we need our money back
Yeah,
since we
Well,
paid
they're-
for it.
we're making the money on trucks. We're still making revenue that way, but see, but they're not expecting an impact from that new bridge. According to Joe. Okay, anyone else have anything new?
We're at bylaws and
Here it is. Okay,
which
bylaw
table?
number 21.
I'll move that we table bylaw 21 pending a staff
Yes.
report.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, bylaw number 22.
So this is just one of the properties getting a loan for their water service. Just a regular bylaw for that.
Oh, yeah, I'll move that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
Oh.
No,
No, okay,
That was bylaw 22.
yes. Now we need a confirmation bylaw. 23,
I can do that.
thank you, Paul.
Move that
Councilor
bylaw
Burns.
23 of 2025 being bylaw to confirm the resolution whenever council, which were adopted up to and including July 22nd, 2025. Be read at first, second, and third time and finally passed on this day, July 22nd, 2025.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Seconded? Thank you. All in favor?
don't run away.
Okay.
Yes.
It-